Welcome to Manifest Beyond Limits, the podcast that helps you break free from fear and self-doubt so you can create a life filled with abundance, joy, and fulfillment. I'm your host, Anaja, manifestation coach, speaker, and believer in limitless possibility. Each week, we'll dive into the mindset shifts, energetic principles, and manifestation tools that help you step into your power and design a reality that truly lights you up. Because here, we believe there are no limits, and anything is possible. You ready? Let's manifest beyond limits. Welcome back to the Manifest Beyond Limits podcast. So today is President's Day, and I want to talk about leadership, and not just in terms of politics or high-level positions, but what leadership actually means in real life. Because leadership isn't just limited to presidents and CEOs or just people with power. Leadership shows up in your company, in your community, in your family, and most importantly, within yourself. And when we look at the world right now, injustice, corruption, and systems that feel broken, it brings up an important question of, what does it really mean to be a good leader? So leadership isn't just a title. So by definition, a leader is someone who leads or commands a group, organization, or country. But not every leader is good, and not every good person has an official leadership title. And there's a difference. So leadership is not about control, it's not about your ego, and it's not about power without responsibility. Because a good leader operates from their values and not just from their authority. And so I did some research on the top characteristics that you typically see within a good leader, and I added a few of my own, and I came up with about 10 different traits that make a good leader. So one of the clearest signs of a good leader is integrity. And a lot of people say that they have integrity, but you can tell if someone truly does by how they live their life. So do they try to do the right thing, even if no one is watching? Do they consider the good of others and not just themselves? Are they fair and just? Are they trustworthy? Do they lead by example? So integrity isn't just something you say you have, it's something that you live by. And when integrity is missing, leadership becomes very dangerous. And so a good leader lives in alignment with their core values, and they do the right thing even when it's inconvenient or unseen or unpopular. So the next characteristics are vision and responsibility. So a good leader can see beyond the present moment. They hold a bigger picture, even ones that others may not see yet, and they think long term. But having vision without responsibility just causes harm to others. So a good leader doesn't just ask, how does this benefit me? They ask, how does this affect the people that I'm responsible for? So visionary leaders are typically very creative and intuitive and very future focused. But leadership is not a solo act. And for any good leader, it's never just about them. So they think about the collective well-being, not just their own personal success. The next traits are communication and teamwork. So leadership isn't just about talking to, or more specifically at people. It's about listening, receiving feedback, being open to dialogue, and recognizing that communication is a two-way street. It's understanding that no leader succeeds alone, and that requires a different level of humility. So next we have courage and accountability. So being a good leader requires courage. It means being willing to stand apart from the crowd, to challenge what's familiar and to go against the status quo, to take risk, to be misunderstood, to choose change over comfort. But it also requires accountability, and not just for your actions, but for the people that you impact and influence. So a leader doesn't just disappear when things go wrong. They don't deflect or blame others. They take responsibility and they own their mistakes. The next ones are adaptability and self-awareness. So nothing in life stays the same. And good leaders know how to adapt. They know how to pivot and adjust and how to guide others through uncertainty. And that also requires self-awareness. So a good leader, they know their strengths and their blind spots. They work on their own healing so that they don't allow their fear or their ego or their own beliefs to project onto others. And they're also willing to grow, which again requires humility. And lastly, they are firm but kind. There is a difference between being liked and being respected. And so good leaders know how to be firm without being harsh. They're able to be clear without being controlling. And they can be strong without being cruel. So being kind doesn't weaken your leadership, it actually strengthens it. So when we think about leadership in terms of injustice and corruption, so what do you do when the people that are leading you don't feel aligned? When systems feel unjust, when power is abused, when corruption feels overwhelming, when you feel like you don't have the power to change things. So first, it's okay to acknowledge that reality. Spirituality and manifestation does not mean denying what's going on in the physical 3D world. So the thing is, you may not be able to control the system, but you do control how you lead within your own sphere and world. So you lead through the way that you treat people, what you tolerate, what you speak up about, where you put your money and your energy and your attention, how you raise your standards, and how you live your values when no one else is watching. So leadership begins locally and internally. So here's how to be a better leader in your own life. So ask yourself, am I living with integrity? Do my actions match my values? How do I respond when things feel unfair? And where can I lead with courage instead of fear? Because you don't need a title to lead. So all in all, leadership isn't about ruling over others. It's about how you move through that responsibility, how you treat people when you do have power, and how you live your life when no one is watching. And so maybe the kind of leadership that the world needs right now is quieter, more grounded, more human, and more rooted in integrity. And I'll talk to you in the next episode. Thank you so much for tuning into today's episode of Manifest Beyond Limits. I hope you're leaving feeling inspired, empowered, and ready to take aligned action toward your next level. If this episode spoke to your heart, it would mean the world if you shared it with someone who needs to hear it, or left a quick review to help more beautiful souls find this space. And if you'd like to stay connected, you can find me on Instagram at Manifest Beyond Limits, or visit manifestbeyondlimits.com to dive deeper into my world. And remember, you are powerful, you are supported, and there are no limits to what you can create. With that being said, go out there and manifest a life that's truly beyond limits.